Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good day to Dr. Suri and my fellow friends. Today we are going to present to you one of the topics in this subject, which is humans' responsibility and status. For this presentation, there are 5 presenters that will going to present, which are Rais Ramli, Leong Joey, Nur Amira Asimi, Nur Afikah Jambrus, and last but not least, Firdaus Maktab. First of all, let me briefly explain the subtopics in this presentation. There are 12 subtopics altogether, which cover subtopic like introduction, human's role, purposes of life, factors of human nobility, humans' values and ethics, humans' ethics and morals, akhlaq in Islam, purposes of akhlaq, sources of akhlaq, scopes of akhlaq, laws and morals, and last but not least, conclusion. Before I begin my presentation, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Rais Ramli, and today I will present the first 2 subtopics, which are introduction and human's role. I begin my presentation with a question. What is the definition of human? There are many definitions regarding to the definition of human, but in this presentation, I just want to share 2 definitions from 2 different perspectives, which are Western perspective and Islamic perspective. According to Aristotle, human is a social animal who cannot live without society. While according to orthodox view in Islam, human is Khalifah Allah, the vicegerent of God, whose function in the universe is to be obedient to divine law. Human is the Allah's best creation compared to the other creations. This is based on the verses in the Quran that stated regarding humans' creation and nobility, such as in Surah Al-Isra, Surah number 17, verse number 70, which means we have honored the sons of Adam, provided them with transport on land and sea, given them for sustenance things good and pure, and conferred on them special favors above a great part of our creation. And in Surah At-Tin, Surah number 95, verse number 4, Allah said, "We have indeed created man in the best of molds." Based on the previous 2 verses, this makes human as the suitable creation to become Khalifa, or person who is responsible to take care of the well-being of other species in this world. In the Quran, Allah calls human with the different names such as Insan in Surah As-Sajdah, verse number 7, Bashar in Surah Ar-Rum, verse number 20, and Bani Adam in Surah Al-Isra, verse number 70. One of the human's nobility compared to the other creature is that which is given amana or responsibility, since Allah created human with aqal, together with ability to choose, which make them human as a suitable creature to take care of this world. However, we must also remember that all humans are the servant of Allah, but not all humans are the Khalifa. Therefore, the man who is worthy and qualified to be the Khalifa is the one who embodies the concept of slavery to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and has implemented the concept of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these 4 features. The first one is faith, the second morality, the third is worship, and the fourth one is Sharia. What is the role of human? Basically, there are two roles of human in this world. The first one is to become servant of Allah, and the second one is to become Khalifa, or representative of Allah in this world. Then, what characteristics or obligation that makes human as the servant of Allah? There are two characteristics or obligations that makes human as the servant of Allah. The first one is ibadah, and the second one is living out the things that is forbidden by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A work is considered as ibadah if it follows this criteria. The first one is the work must be permitted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second one is the work must be accompanied by sincere intent. And the third one is the work must be done in serious, meticulous and ihsan way. Before I proceed with the second role of human, which is Khalifa, I would like to read two verses from Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 30 and 31, which means, "And when your Lord said to the angels, Indeed, I will make upon the earth a successive authority, they said, Will you place upon it one who causes corruption therein, and sheds blood, while we declare your praises and sanctify you?" Allah said, "Indeed, I know that which you do not know." In latest ayah, and he taught Adam the names, all of them. Then he showed them to the angels and said, "Inform me of the names of these, if you are truthful." Based on the two verses from Surah Al-Baqarah, we can conclude that a human to be qualified as Khalifa need to have two characteristics or obligations, which are: the first one is the Khalifa must be the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the second one is the Khalifa must be knowledgeable. The definition of Khalifa is to rule and command or possess the al-siyada, meaning supremacy. This attribute is acknowledged by Allah as embodied in the sacred constitution of the Quran to be the Lord of all beings and creations on earth. But this is not a special and fundamental attribute in the task of the Khalifa. It is simply a tool or a means for mankind to perform the duties of the Khalifa. If that supremacy and power were used not to perform the duties of the Khalifa, then the man would no longer regarded as a Khalifa, but a man who opposed and rebelled against Allah.
A very good day. My name is Leong Joey. So today I will be talking on the purpose of life and the factors of human nobility. So the purpose of life is always a very common topic among the West and East philosophers. So in real life, humans tend to live their life by following the flow, or some tend to go on an opposite way. However, we need to know that what is the ultimate goal in life and what we can achieve throughout the journey in order to know the purpose of life. So, according to the Islam guide, the purpose of life is always to get the rida of Allah. So, it is also mentioned in the Surah Al-Baqarah that On the other hand, among men, there is a kind who dedicates his life seeking to please Allah. Allah is immensely kind to such devoted servants. Ridho means please. Thus, any consideration and decision of life for a Muslim must prioritize if it is something that could get the ridho from Allah. So one of the main criteria to get the ridha from Allah is considered if the action is following the Sharia Allah. Any action that forbid by Allah will definitely not getting ridha from Him, and we will be sinful as well. In short, ridha from Allah is a final objective to achieve as the purpose of life. Now we move on to the factors of human nobility. So the first is the taqwa as basic of human nobility. Mankind is undeniably a noble creation in terms of quantity or quality, which is mentioned in Surah Al-Isra. And we have certainly honored the children of Adam and carried them on the land and sea, and provided for them for the good things and prefer them over much of what we have created, which definite preference. Okay. Also, in the Surah Al-Hujurat, nobility is explained as, O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. This clear declaration in the Quran has shown that Islam has gave high level of nobility to mankind despite the origin and place of birth, language, geographical boundary. We are all from the same descendant, which is Nabi Adam. Next, the second factor is human is the most special creature. So in the view of Islam, human is the most special creature and beyond all other creatures made by Allah. Also in Surah At-Tin, it is explained that we have indeed created man in the best of all. So by comparison with other creatures, Allah has made human perfect spiritually and physically. Also, we have the potential to achieve all the life. Even the angel created by Allah from Noah cannot even overcome the privilege of human. So in the Surah Al-Isra, so it explained as, and we have certainly honored the children of Adam and carried them on the land and sea and provided for them the good things and prefer them over much of what we have created, which definite preference. So perfection of human is not only limit on the physical dimension, but also on the spiritual side. So in other words, the mental and spiritual side of human is gifted from Allah, that beyond comparison. So this made human able to make use of our intellectual, cognitive ability and emotion in understanding the experience in interacting with the world in daily life. This advantage could never be found on other creatures. Modern knowledge nowadays, especially neurology and physiology, has further proven the greatness of Allah in creating human. For example, without human brain, we wouldn't able to achieve all the invention on science and technology nowadays. Also, the uniqueness of neocortex is we get to keep all the information in part of the human brain memory. So the neocortex involved in higher order brain functions such as sensory, perception, cognition, generation of motor commands, spatial reasoning, and language. Next, the third factor is human is holy in nature. So human is the creature of Allah with a true faith of Islam since birth. So the Prophet say every child is born with a true faith of Islam. For example, to worship none but Allah alone, and his parents convert him to Judaism or Christianity or Magianism. However, humans are still free to choose to be good or bad. With the influence of external environment, one could be slowly influenced and walk off from their origin trait. Allah never denied the possibility that one could get the bad influence from others. Those who get influence would start doing bad deeds or damage. So that's all for my presentation today. So now move on to the next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Amira binti Muhammad Semi. I would like to talk about human values and ethics. Human life cannot run from its moral and ethical values. Each act will not be out of good or bad value as well as sin and rewards. Ethics and value are born from oneself to a measure of good or bad person. Even for those who do not hold on to any religion, makes moral and ethical as standard for the replies they will receive in the hereafter. Only the difference is, in Islam, the moral and the ethics that are in human must be useful to revelation and not merely the sense of mind. For humans, ethics and morals, man and morality are the two important entities that make up humanity and determine their existence, whether respected or insulted. Men without chastity will not be human beings, although men may be separated from the field of science or thought. It may even be separated from religions and belief. Can live without money and property, can live without a spouse, but men can live without or be separated from morality and morals. The sense of moral or morals is nature and for centuries has been a measure to allow certain properties and defame of other properties. Al-Maududi, 1974. The moral measurement of human being in reality are universal and have been known by true human all the time. Good and bad is not a design that should be sought at, that is the reality that is quite recognizable and understandable by everyone. The feeling of good and bad is inherently in the human character, because Al-Quran is enough to use al-ma'ruf terminology to explain something good is praiseworthy and al-munkar for something that is reprehensible. Also, the moral measures that have been inherently in the human self has been expressed in the Al-Quran, Surah Ash-Shams, and inspired it with discernment of its wickedness and its righteousness. If the moral or moral value is said to be universal, occur the questions among them. 1. Why still there is also a conflict of behavior among mankind? 2. Why appears such moral philosophy so many and different from each other? 3. What is the underlying difference? 4. What is the uniqueness of the moral of Islam in the midst of an existing ethical system? 5. On what basis is Islam being said to have a perfect moral system? 6. What is the Islamic contribution in human ethics? In response to the question according to Al-Maududi 1967, the reason for its merism are: Number 1. The moral system of human creation failed to integrate various items of forbidding or the value of goodness and moral norms in setting the concept and its application for life. Number 2. Differences are also attributed to the basic criteria for assessing good or adverse act. Likewise, there is a difference in determining the factor that lead to an act. Number 3. Other things that are not less important to be the cause of a difference is that there is a wide variety of universe or worldview on the role and effect of mankind, the purpose of life, and the divine and nature. The Western view of human moral. Thomas Hobbes from 1588 to 1679, a 16 million century Western philosopher and devote of hedonism or Epicureanism, says that all human deeds are aimed at gaining pleasure and craving as well as being the main motivation that encourage people to do something of action. Hobbes also holds that it was named if it fulfilled the desire of human passions. It is in no way a link to religious or metaphysical belief. Every goodness must be attributed to one's will. Based on his view, Hobbes was also known as a moral philosopher of subjectivism. The German philosopher Immanuel Kant (1724–1804), who was born in Königsberg, Prussia, holds that every human deed that is said to be immoral is when it is intended to fulfill a duty for the task itself. For his act as a duty included in the moral practice of all mankind that make it rational as a human morality. According to Kant, the benefits of an act are evaluated based on the law or moral norm or universal value rather than the consequences or effect of the acts. The philosophy of Kant ethics is classified in deontology ethics. In fact, there are plenty of moral but in general due to the influence of secularism teachings. They have set aside faith in the Lord and the hereafter as part of their code of ethics in social activities. They tend to limit religious teaching to personal life alone and not related to social life. Western moral philosophy can be categorized into two foundations. First, a secularism-based moral philosophy system that limiting the moral value application to individual dealing only. Second, a moral philosophy system that rejects religious belief and hereafter.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day. My name is Nur Afrika binti Jamrus. So today I will explain about my parts. Okay, first of all, I will explain about the meaning of akhlaq in Islam. After that, I will proceed with purpose of akhlaq, source of akhlaq, and scope of akhlaq in Islam. So, in Arabic, akhlaq is the practice of virtue, morality, and manners in Islamic theology and philosophy. In 1030 Masihi, Ibn Miskawayh state that akhlaq is a condition when people doing some things without have to think too much. They just do it without hesitations. So other words that commonly used in akhlaq definition is ethic and moral. Word ethic is from Greek ethos. In English language, the word ethic and moral always can be used in different sentence and form. Ethic in moral philosophy is a knowledge that discusses about good and bad things, right or wrong, and cover all the discussion about system, theory, principle, and moral values. Commonly, the word ethic is used as moral word that define a good deed. Akhlaq is more to spiritual rather than physical things that act as a proof about someone's heart. Meanwhile, moral or ethic are more to actions as the topic of discussion. Other than that, akhlaq is prone to use revelation as source of what good values are other than rational sense, while moral and ethic use rational sense only to value good deeds. So basically, akhlaq covers all good behaviors in Islamic perspective. Okay, now let's move to purpose of akhlaq. Okay, the basic concept is we will do kind things or we will do good things for someone to get their pleasure or satisfaction or to make them happy. It is the same thing in Islam. Islam has put the hard work to find Allah's pleasure as a goal for doing good deeds depends on humans' role in daily life. Standard of judgment of Allah's pleasure is the nucleus of people's behavior and their good deeds. Mostly, people will expect something in return for their good deeds, but in Islam, they train an individual to not expect something in return of their good deeds. That's it for purpose of akhlaq. So now we move to source of akhlaq. Al-Quran and Sunnah as the universal main source and reference for every values in Islam. One of Hadith Rasulullah SAW by Al-Hakim state that I have been sent to perfect good characters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has praised Rasulullah SAW because of his good behavior, such as stated in Quran. Surah Al-Qalam, Ayah 4, the translation is, and do on an exalted standard of character. So basically, our main source of akhlaq is from Al-Quran and Sunnah. Okay, last but not least, I will talk about a scope of akhlaq in Islam. We have 6 scopes of akhlaq in Islam. The first one is akhlaq with Allah. Second one is akhlaq with human, followed by akhlaq with neighborhood, akhlaq with children, then akhlaq with family and relative, and move to akhlaq with other beings apart of human. The first one is akhlaq with Allah. Okay, first of all, we have to believe in Allah without shirk to Him and worship Allah and follow all His rules. Other than that, we have to always repent about all of our mistakes and always find for Allah's pleasure in every situation. And we have to do all those required things and things that Allah loves. Humans need religion to have faith and good hope in life. Without hope, people might be doing something bad, such as suicide and other bad things. Okay, now let's move to akhlaq with human. Allah asks us to hablu minan nas, which is maintain the relationship with human being. Akhlaq with Rasulullah, that is belief with hope that Nabi Muhammad SAW is the truly messenger and prophet from Allah that deliver the message to all humankind and practice all the sunnah. Akhlaq in parents, that doing a good deed or devotion to them, such as helping them, talk with them using a good words and show them a good manners. Akhlaq with parents is it's very important in household which to maintain or to attain a happy family. Okay, the third one is akhlaq with neighborhood. Followers of Islam are asked to do a good deed to their neighbors, did not burden or disturb them. For example, watching television with a low volume, did not throw rubbish in front of their gates, did hurt their hearts with our words or attitudes. The fourth one is akhlaq with children. Islam has speaks a lot about children, such as do slaughtering akikah, give names with a good definition, prevent or avoid them from things that will cause an incident and teach them akhlaq or give a good lessons plus show them a good example. Children are like white canvas. They are born with pure hearts. So we have to color the white canvas with a good colors, with a cheerful colors. We have to give them a good example to follow. The next one is akhlaq with family and relative. Islam encourages its followers to do a good deed between their family and relative. Commandment of Allah, Surah An-Nahl, Ayah 90. Indeed, Allah commands justice and good conduct and giving to relative and forbids immorality and bad conduct and oppressions. he admonished you that perhaps that you will be reminded. Okay, the last scope of akhlak in Islam is akhlak with other beings apart of human. The first one is angel. Islam asks a Muslim to respect angels by covering their sensitive parts even though they are alone and no one is watching. The next one is jinns. Examples of manners with jinns are Rasulullah SAW forbids Muslims to defecate into holes that contain excrement and wasted bones because it is their food. The next one is livestock. We cannot make them work out of their limits. Plus, animal slaughtering should be done in the right ways. Okay, now we move to last point of scopes of akhlak. Akhlak with wild animals. We cannot abuse or hurt them using stones and etc. So, in conclusion, Islam states that we must take a good care of this world. So, let's make the world a better place for us and future. Okay, that's all from me for my part, and I will pass to my teammates to explain about other parts in this topic. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening to all of you, and then to our lecturer. Okay, my name is Muhammad Firdaus bin Mattab. Today I'm going to present to all of you about the laws and morals of this chapter 8. Okay, the first laws and moral is in order to promote the implementation of moral values in the human community in all aspects of life. Islam and its enforcement of Sharia law, but more importantly, the inner impulse of man based on faith in Allah and the hereafter. Okay, we move on with the next slides. Therefore, strong faith needs to be embraced by Muslim in the belief that the first one is his behavior is always seen by God in all times and places. Second one, he can hide himself from the whole world, but never from God. The third one, he can deceive everyone, but he cannot deceive God. He can escape from the grasp of human, but from the grasp of God, which is not at all. The world can only see life outside of itself, but God knows all his inner goals and ambitions. Humans can do whatever they want, but he must die and face the judgment of God in the hereafter. Without all the tyranny, fraud, bribe, sympathy, and abuse of power, but what happened is totally justice. With such strong faith as the Muslim community will remain on the path of the shrine and avoid falling into the mud of sins. Certainly, all the enforcement of Sharia law as well as effective education will greatly assist in the enforcement of moral values in this trying and expected life. As the conclusion of this chapter is, human as a creator of God, human as a creation of God are highly positioned compared to other creations. Human status in God is not determined by the physical appearance he created, but by the existence of the spirit that is blown to him and the spiritual that God bestowed upon him. The advantage that human has is for the purpose of performing his function as a servant of God and as his caliph on this earth. Humans' creation are different from the other creations. Humans are not the manifestation or evolution of other beings as stated in Darwin's theory. In order to perform human function, God has provided a complete source of natural resources that can be controlled by humans through the provision of knowledge, guidance, and revelation.